Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Oyindi Fuluperani Ma Shapa Mwananyana wa Muvenda. And if you're here for the first time, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, a veteran in this channel, welcome back for yet another exciting episode of Risk, Money and Insurance. And so today we are talking about something interesting. After I resigned, or I released that video on, I resigned. If you haven't checked it out, please do. After I released that video, someone was saying to me, well, tell us about the challenges of actually now resigning, given that you haven't really worked back the full period that you're supposed to work back, and how to just go about that. And I said, let me just chill a bit. I will release this video when I'm ready, and I feel I'm now ready to talk about it, because I feel like at the time there were a lot of emotions in the air, and I thought I should do a video on the other side of bursaries, or the dark side of bursaries that we never speak about. And so in this video we're talking around what are other things? I mean, bursaries are great, right? I mean, in South Africa, if you want to study further, you can go the NSFAS route. You can get a bursary, you can get a scholarship, or you can fund your own self, right? For example, if you're a trust fund baby or your parents make enough money, they can decide to actually pay for you, right? And I remember when I was at UCT, per year we were paying around, more than 100,000, just per annum. And that was only for my tuition, my residence, and the allowance, books, and all the other things were not covered. So you can imagine how much, you end up spending per annum just to be in university. So it was really, really expensive, because by the time I finished with UCT, just for tuition and all those things, they accumulated to more than 600,000, right? And that's a lot of money, to be quite honest. And at the same time, in as much as we're talking about, the dark side of bursaries that, no one tells you about, I also just want to emphasize on the fact that this video is not trying to bash bursaries or employers that offer bursaries, but rather I want this to be something you consider as you sign away, your life at 18, or sign your life away whenever you're going to actually say, I'm going to be funded by this particular person and I will work back a certain number of years. So, are we grateful for bursaries? Oh, hell yeah, we are. Because without bursaries, I wouldn't have been able to study actuarial science at UCT. So, I'm very, very grateful that someone paid for my fees. They took a chance on me and paid for my fees. But at the same time, it brings a couple of challenges, right? So number one, the bursary that I was on was specifically for actuarial science. So that meant had I gone into actuarial science and let's say a year into it, I decide that I don't want to study actuarial science anymore, they wouldn't have allowed me, in essence, right? Because the bursary was for actuarial science. So it removes that freedom of choice. Because at the end of the day, you are meant to study actuarial science and come out of UCT with an actuarial sciences degree. So I had to pass. Essentially, that's what it means. And no matter how long it took, I had to make it right. And also, sometimes with bursaries, there are restrictions. They might say, we're only going to fund you for 4 years. So I was doing my Bachelor of Business Sciences and Actuarial Sciences at UCT, and that, you're supposed to do that over 4 years, and it's equivalent to an honors degree, right? And if you fail a module, for example, in first year, if you fail a module, then you necessarily have to repeat that module in second year, and you might not qualify to do some second year courses, right, in second year. And that means if you're not going to do them in second year, then you're pushing them forward. You're going to do them in third year and stuff. So you find that someone is in second year, but not fully in second year and all of that. So sometimes if you take longer to complete your studies, then for the other years, right? So years exceeding the 4 years, or other years on top of the 4 years that you have to study, you have to fund that yourself. Your parents have to make a plan and all of that. And also that's another downside to say, but we entered into an agreement that you were going to fund my studies. And a lot of things can happen in life, Sometimes something tragic can happen to you such that you're not able to complete, your degree or whatever in record time. And I just feel like there should be perhaps a clause or a term to allow for such things, because in life, not everything works out the way we plan. So that is just another downside. Well, another downside is the fact that you're signing away your life at 18, right? And I remember at the time, I was just so happy that I got a bursary, because my goal was, let me get a bursary so that my mom doesn't have to cover my fees. And that was really important for me. I was like, if I can find someone who's going to pay for my fees, I'll be very happy to take that offer. And when, my bursary came and they were like, we're so excited to have you on board, I was really excited to do it, because I thought, this will be such a huge financial relief on my family. They don't have to worry about me and me studying further. But at the same time, in retrospect, it feels like it's you literally signing your life away, because then when you finish your studies, it doesn't matter whether another brilliant opportunity comes, you still have this obligation to work back a certain number of years. And for me, because they were funding me for 4 years, I had to work back 6 years. But then somewhere during, my degree, they revised the terms and condition of the bursary, because people were complaining, and it ended up being on a 1-to-1 scale. So if they fund you for 5 years, you need to work back 5 years. If they fund you for 4 years, you need to work back 4 years. But when you complete your studies, you might actually find another interesting or another opportunity, or you might just decide, I don't want to do actuarial sciences anymore. But because you have this obligation, right, that you signed at 18 to say, I'm going to be an actuary, there's no room, as I said, for you to change your mind. So you still need to go there and work back those number of years. But you find that if you're really good, or someone else really wants you, then they can actually, buy you out of the contract, to essentially say, well, you don't have to work back for them. We will pay them whatever they paid for your fees. Now that you're done, you can come work for us. But it's also just really challenging to actually find someone who's willing to buy you out. Whereas there are also just a lot of other actuarial graduates, right, in South Africa, that they can actually say, oh, we're choosing you, come on for an interview, you have the job, and they don't have to pay such a huge lump sum upfront, because the total of my fees and everything, that's more than 500,000, so 500,000, that's a lot of money. So they don't have to incur that cost unless they really, really want you and they really believe that you have some value to add to their business. So at the same time, it gives you that pressure to be special, because how the hell am I going to pay more than 500,000 for someone who's just ordinary? That doesn't make business sense. What value are you bringing to my business? If there's no such value, then I'm not going to buy you out. So negotiating your salary, and also just, getting out of this contract that you signed at 18 to now a new contract altogether becomes really, really challenging. So I'd say that was also just another challenge as well, to say, wow, it seems like I've logged myself in here, and it's really, really going to be difficult to get out of this. But okay, so when I was in final year, I was like, okay, I do have a job with, my bursary. So after this, I know that, an employment is guaranteed. And also what becomes now another disadvantage is the fact that when it comes to that employment, right, there isn't really enough room for you to negotiate for your salary, because salaries are already set for graduates. So also, in as much as you're brilliant, you're awesome, you whatever, your salaries are sort of, already predetermined for you in a sense. And then whatever more you want will definitely have to come from perhaps you performing really well at work, such that, they have to increase your salary because of your performance at work. So those are just some of the challenges. And when I was now like halfway into my working back period, I decided, let me just step out into the market to see what is out there and whether someone will really be able to buy me out of the contract. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, well, I've worked back 2 years, so surely that should count towards something. So I've paid back like half of my debt in essence, although like, yeah, of course, there are other factors involved, like when you have to move because you've been writing exams and all of that, you've been taking study leave. When you decide to leave, they will now say, well, this is the total of what you owe us, right? You owe us the bursary that we paid for your university fees. You owe us the study leave that you've been taking in the past year or so. You also owe us whatever exams we paid for and all of that. And so if you are in the actuarial profession, you'll understand that some exams are really expensive. They can be like 13K, just one exam, and you need to buy the notes. You need to buy all the other study materials on top of that. So that amount really accumulates really quickly. So when I actually said to them, how much do I actually owe you? Can you give me like a ballpark figure of how much I'm actually owing you? I was quite shocked to actually find out that I was still like owing quite a lot, you know. It felt like I hadn't worked back. And when I asked for the breakdown, well, they told me it's the bursary, it's the study leave, it's the exams that we've been paying for and everything we've been paying for you. So now I was just like, you know what, God, whoever's going to be willing to buy me out, I know for sure that they'll be worth, you know, going to actually say, I'm committing to you to work for you because this is a lot already. And so, which is why some of the interviews and some of the conversations that I was having with other companies fell through, because they were just like, you are expensive. This is a lot of money. We cannot, you know, buy you out. And which is heartbreaking because I had sat down and thought about where I wanted to take my future, and I had identified a few companies that can help me to get there. So to get that letter, I mean, some of them, I remember when telling my friends, I said there was this one short, long meeting I attended. It was short in the fact that the time we spent there in that meeting was less than 10 minutes. But it felt like the longest meeting of my life because my dream there was just shattered. I felt like this was it, you know. I thought it was like that thing where you have a backup plan. I thought that company was my backup plan to say if everybody else cannot buy me out, they are big enough to buy me out. And God was like, girl, there's no backup plan here. These people are not going to buy you out. And they told me, they were like, it's a lot of money. We can't, unfortunately, buy you out now. But I love what they said. They said, we can't buy you out now. We might revisit this conversation later and all of that. But for me, that was just, it was sad because I had put all my eggs, you know, I was literally saying this is the backup plan. Should everything else fall through, this is the backup plan. And yeah, man, things worked out, I guess, in the end. And so just like that whole process, right, is actually draining because someone will be telling you, well, you are amazing, you're good, but there is this baggage that you come with. And also when you're negotiating your salary, it also becomes, you know, it puts you in a really tight spot because you are like, there is so much that they are going to pay upfront. So even what they are going to offer you will also be like, please take a man that we're buying you out. So you can't really stretch, you know, that negotiation further than you would had you come, you know, to the table with no baggage at all. So now you are in this space where it feels like, wow, I've literally sold my life away at 18 because now it's like my choices are limited. I'm restricted in terms of what I can do and what I cannot do. So looking back, I feel like I should have applied for a scholarship. It would have given me more freedom. And I know it's risky because then with a scholarship, you don't come out of university with a job. But also, I feel like that's also motivation enough because you would literally want to make sure that your CV is on point. You get like a maximum number of exams. You also work hard to make yourself more marketable as a graduate, which is really, really important. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about your grades. What else do you have to offer, you know? what else, is there to you besides your academics? Who are you, and will you be able to fit into our team and all of that? And so I feel like at 18, I should have just applied for a scholarship. It would have actually saved me a lot of trouble. But I did apply for one scholarship which rejected me. I don't know on what grounds, but they did. But I was just like, I don't care, I have a bursary. But I feel like I could have applied for more scholarships rather than bursaries, number one. And number two, I also feel like should have taken my chance, I guess, coming out of university. I should have taken my chance with other companies to see if they'll be willing to buy me out. But also now that process now becomes also another thing where you're like, okay, are you buying me out, and are you putting now another clause in the contract to say I need to work back a certain number of years to you? But I feel like I would have taken it if they had said instead of 4 years, work back like 2 years or whatever. That would have been like also amazing. But anyway, so I'm just now reflecting on the whole experience to say it does restrict you, it does limit you, but there are also options, right? So just like finding someone who's willing to buy you out, and also just, make sure that you are a marketable graduate. You have more to offer than just an average person. You're not just an average person, because if you are, then it becomes really difficult to justify why they should pay such a huge amount of money to actually bring you over to their team or their company. So in essence, that has been my, experience with bursaries overall. Would I recommend bursaries? If you're good enough to get a scholarship, go for a scholarship rather than a bursary. Well, if you're not, go for a bursary. But at the same time, go to do vacation work or whatever with the company to really see if this is what you want, or this is the kind of company that you want to work for, and also like what are the rooms. Talk to people who've been through the bursary program as well to find out what they're complaining about, and whether what they're complaining about is something that you'll be able to live with. Because it becomes really important. Otherwise, you'll feel like you are stuck with this certain company that you don't want to be at, and that's not a great feeling. I feel at the end of the day, it'll be amazing for employers to literally fund us and not require such a long, maybe say a year, work back a year, or like a year and a half, because 4 years is really a long time, especially when you have a change of heart about where you want to take your career and what you want to do, which that company may not be able to offer you. So in a nutshell, that is my take on bursaries, to say really, really think about this long and hard, because it does restrict and limit you later on in future. And while getting a job guaranteed upfront is amazing, think about what happens if you change your mind, because that's a lot. Like right now, if I decide I don't want to be an actuary anymore, I want to be like a full-time influencer or whatever, and I still have this big debt that I have to this company, I'll have to find my way to pay it back, right? You can opt to pay it back like in cash, which then the whole bursary becomes like a loan or whatever. But also, what does that mean now? It means now you're paying back for your studies, which you hadn't really planned to pay back. And now your progress in life, becomes limited in essence. So definitely think about it. Bursaries are amazing. I mean, I went through school because of them, but at the same time, there are disadvantages that we really, really need to think about. And also, our parents are excited that we have a job, but like, is it really your dream job or what you would really want to be doing, because that also matters as well. And yeah, I mean, in an environment where we know like it's really difficult, higher education is really expensive, it's something that we need to really, really think about and finally make that decision to say, this is what I want or this is what I do not want, because at the end, your life and your future is tied to that choice or that decision. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any comments around bursaries, your experience overall, put them down in the description, not the description box, the comment section. Put them down there and just share your experience, because I know that there are a lot of people that are hurting because of bursaries. There are a lot of people that hate their employers because of bursaries. So let's just express this for someone else who, might be in that position, or, or for someone else who has a sibling or whatever who's about to take up a bursary. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I love you guys so much. Mwah. I'll see you in the next video. Oh, bye.